The last known videos or images of people can be particularly chilling. Often, these are the last moments known for certain before a person vanishes into thin air. They're also particularly useful, giving police a timeline of events to follow and showing exactly what a person was wearing when they disappeared. Number 5. Alan Bryant Jr. was celebrating a friend's engagement shortly before he went missing in the early hours of November 3, 2013. He left his home at around 8:30 p.m. to go to a nearby golf club where he celebrated with his friends. After the party ended, he and a few others went to a local nightclub to continue the celebration. Alan was captured on CCTV leaving the club at around 2 a.m. He had no jacket as he left it at the location of the initial engagement party. No money, and no cell phone. It was relatively busy at the time, and a crowd of people are seen leaving at the same time, but it's not clear if Alan intended to walk with them or if he intended to walk home alone. He's obviously intoxicated in the video, almost falling down a set of steps that lead up to the road, though he manages to hold onto a railing to stop himself from falling. It's possible that he fell or had an accident somewhere else on his walk home, or that something more sinister happened, but no trace of Alan has ever been found. Only a sliver of CCTV footage has been released to the public. That may be because police were slow to taking on the case. CCTV was only released 7 months after Alan went missing, and the Police Investigation and Review Commissioner later admitted the investigation had not been handled at a reasonable standard. Alan's family are certain somebody in the local area knows what happened to their son. They believe Alan hadn't intended to walk home after leaving the club, but instead go to another house party. Nobody at the house party ever came forward to say that they saw him after he left the club that night, but Alan's family believes something happened there that's being covered up. According to his father, Alan Sr., certain members of the community won't make eye contact with him because they may know what happened. Given it was Halloween weekend, many of the people at the house party were dressed in costume. In normal circumstances, they would have likely shared photos from the party on social media, but according to Alan Sr., not a single person has posted an image from the party. There are multiple tips, including one that took police to an address near the location of the house party, but nothing has been found. Number 4. 21-year-old Tapiwa Matui was last seen on CCTV in the early hours on the morning of February 7, 2019. It was about 7 a.m. when Tapiwa walked past a camera at a yacht club after a night out with friends. While he looked intoxicated in earlier footage, Tapiwa is seen walking with purpose in the last images before he vanished into thin air. Tapiwa had been out with friends since the night before, from visiting a nightclub. It's not clear when exactly he left, but bars in the area typically close at around 3 a.m., so there was likely at least an hour and a half missing before Tapiwa appears on CCTV again. At 4:50 a.m., Tapiwa and a friend go to a local McDonald's where there are a few customers and staff members cleaning up. The pair chat and joke in the restaurant, but Tapiwa leaves alone 10 minutes later without buying anything. Footage shows the 21-year-old heading to a student accommodation building, where he enters before immediately leaving. Another camera shows him wandering around for a short while at about 5:30 a.m. The next piece of footage, made available to the public, was recorded from an hour and a half later at the yacht club. He's dressed the same, though he appears to be much more sober. It's not clear whether he was heading back towards his accommodation or somewhere else, but Tapiwa wouldn't come home again. Police have identified a number of people in the footage, but no one has come forward with any new information. Searches of the local area also haven't turned up anything, but it's possible he may have fallen into a marina in a tragic incident. Number 3. Like millions of other people, Esther Dingley liked to share her day-to-day life with her followers on Instagram. She shared stunning scenery and selfies from her hikes across Europe up until the day she disappeared. 37-year-old Esther and her partner of 19 years had been backpacking across Europe for about 6 years when she went missing this October. Both Esther and her boyfriend, Dan Colgate, loved hiking and were experienced in the outdoors. Though they were worried about things like politics disrupting their travels, Esther was in good spirits when she went on a solo hike at the end of October. The couple had been living in a farmhouse in southern France at the time, but Esther decided to take her camper van for a solo trip across the French-Spanish border. The trip was planned to take about a month, and Esther and Dan kept in contact the entire time. However, on what was scheduled to be the last day before Esther drove back to France, she disappeared. Dan last spoke with Esther on November 22nd over WhatsApp. Esther was in good spirits and looking forward to meeting back up with her partner. She shared a photo she'd taken the day before, the last photo she shared on social media. It was a selfie taken from the top of a mountain between France and Spain on the border. The valley is clearly visible behind her. Esther was wearing mirrored sunglasses that day, and the reflection of a solar panel can be seen in one of the lenses. When Esther didn't return, Dan contacted authorities. Neither he nor Esther's mother had heard from her since the 22nd, and nobody had seen her since she left her lodging on the 21st of November. Authorities have been using Esther's social media images to try to trace her footsteps the day of her disappearance and figure out exactly where they should be looking. Curiously, there were 2 photos taken at the top of the mountain, but the lighting and reflection in Esther's sunglasses seems to indicate they were taken at different times. Working out why she had gone to the same spot twice in 24 hours may give investigators a clue as to what happened. Search teams, dogs, and drones have all scoured the area it's believed Esther had been hiking, but there's been no trace, leaving Dan to believe his partner is no longer on that mountain. Number 2. It's now been more than 20 years since 22-year-old Trevor Dealey went missing after work at a Christmas party. Trevor and his coworkers were getting into the Christmas spirit on the evening of December 7th, 2000. None of his friends could have known this would be the last time they would see or hear from him. Trevor worked in the IT department at a local bank in Dublin, where he was apparently a hard worker and was well liked by his colleagues and boss. He joined his coworkers for their annual Christmas party at the Hilton Hotel before the party moved to a nearby nightclub, where Trevor stayed until the bar closed at 3:30 a.m. on December 8th. By this point, it had begun raining heavily, and Trevor decided to go back to his office to collect an umbrella. None of the people he'd spent the evening with decided to join him as he left the club, but the office was nearby and Trevor didn't live far away. It took Trevor 5 minutes to get to the office, where he met an unidentified man standing outside the gates. The man is wearing dark clothing and doesn't have an umbrella, despite the harsh weather. It wouldn't have been too unusual for someone to be stood there, even at that time of night. The office remained open 24 hours a day, and the third shift were already at work inside the building. It's possible this mystery man was one of the employees on a graveyard shift, but police have been unable to identify him. Trevor and the mystery man chat for a few moments while Trevor heads inside to collect his umbrella. While he was away, 2 more men came to the gate and spoke with the unknown man. They've made themselves known to police and have been cleared of any involvement, but they haven't been able to identify the first man. Trevor was inside the building for around 25 minutes before he finally emerged with an umbrella. It's not clear where the mystery man went from this point. CCTV from the bank shows Trevor walking alone. There doesn't appear to be anything wrong at this point. He gave a friend a call at around 4:05 a.m. and left a voicemail as his friend was asleep. There was no sign Trevor had noticed anything unusual. He just told his friend he was on his way home and he'd talk to him tomorrow. 10 minutes later, Trevor appeared on CCTV again, walking past another bank a short distance away. This time, another figure appears behind him, half jogging to apparently catch up to Trevor. Police believe this was the same man from the gate. Over the years, there have been multiple leads and tips over what happened to Trevor that night, but none have been proven true as of yet. His family still holds out hope that someone knows what happened to him and can tell them at the very least where he is. Number 1. On December 11th, 2019, at around 7 a.m., Christine Loveday snapped this photo of her brother and mother before they set off on a 3-day trip in Victoria, Australia. The trip was supposed to be a cleansing ritual. Felicity Loveday, who was 83 years old at the time, had apparently awoken evil spirits, and the 3-day trip was supposed to help her. She also suffered from dementia. According to Christine, her mother didn't leave the house much due to her illness. She was extremely pale and thin, and spent a lot of time napping. It's not clear how Felicity and her son, Adrian, were going to live on the small boat, as there was no cabin or sleeping quarters, but on the third day of the trip, Adrian called Christine to let her know they were having a good time. However, the following day, Felicity and Adrian didn't return home, and Christine alerted authorities. Immediately, an extensive search and rescue mission was underway, and the boat was found submerged 24 kilometers from where they had set off. There was one life vest on board, but Felicity and Adrian were nowhere to be seen. Land and air searches took place in the following weeks, but the missing pair are yet to be located. The story took an odd turn when the image of Christine, captured on the first day of the trip, was released to the public. Felicity is seated in the passenger seat, her life jacket on and a baseball cap on her head. Her eyes appear to be closed. Police claim they haven't ruled out the possibility Felicity had already passed away when they set sail. Christine insists that her mother was still alive the last time she saw her, and that Felicity's appearance was simply due to her illness. Another odd twist in the case came when police discovered Adrian had purchased a second boat not long before the trip. The second boat appears to be smaller than the one he was piloting the day they disappeared, but it also vanished. The case gained a lot of publicity due to the fact that Felicity had once been the worship master of a branch of the Co-Freemasonry, though Australia's Freemason Society has sought to distance itself from the incident. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.